Welcome into Factfinder Investigates. I'm Dylan Domangue. Kansas lawmakers still debating what the most effective way is to slow down speeding drivers. KHP reporting alarming numbers, writing thousands of tickets a year for drivers going over 100 miles an hour. I went on a ride-along and saw firsthand what KHP troopers are experiencing every day. Troopers constantly pulling over drivers going dangerous speeds. It's something that's now out of the KHP's hands. If lawmakers don't pass legislation soon, they fear things will only get worse.
If tomorrow I didn't have to write another speeding ticket, that'd be great.
That won't be today.
That vehicle right there is around 95.
Within an hour of our ride-along with Captain Travis Phillips.
I'm Captain Phillips, Kansas Highway Patrol. Can I see your driver's license, please?
2 tickets were written for drivers going 90-plus miles an hour along I-70.
Stop people going 90 miles an hour, that's all you'd ever get done all day long. You know, but then you miss all the 105s, 110s.
Phillips says frustration is growing among law enforcement and points to the numbers. 10 years ago, KHP wrote 1,400 tickets to drivers going over 100 miles an hour. But that number spiked to more than 3,000 in each of the last 3 years. And of those,
we have about 6 counties in Troop D that are writing almost half of the 100-mile-an-hour speeders, around nearly 1,500 tickets for going 100 mile an hour a year.
That problem not isolated to Northwest Kansas. Troopers across the state say they're seeing an alarming number of drivers in the triple digits, including this month in Harvey County, when one was caught going 150 miles an hour in a 55 miles an hour speed zone. Phillips says the drastic increase is prompting them to push lawmakers to re-examine the punishment for speeding.
I've never seen the magnitude of the people willing to drive this reckless in my entire career.
Yeah, it's dangerous out there, and we need to address it.
Representative Shannon Francis is the House chairman of the Committee on Transportation. Several bills have been proposed in the House and the Senate. Each would have increased the penalties for 100 miles per hour drivers. And Francis said while most lawmakers agree that change is needed, there is a difference in opinion over what legislation would be most effective.
I think that's just something we're all struggling with, is what's the best way to do it. You know, the bill in the Senate this year dealt with restricted driver's licenses, and I think maybe that's part of the solution.
But out on the road, Phillips doesn't believe restricting or suspending licenses will slow the trend, since the most common code violation they see with speeding tickets is an invalid license. Instead, he believes the reckless driving statute should include anyone traveling over 100 miles an hour. He also wants to see the current fine, $258, to be doubled for drivers caught going that fast.
I think if you're going 100 miles an hour, you should expect for your fine to be a lot more than what it currently is.
That proposal has been presented to lawmakers, but Francis says fines that are too high also raise concern.
How do we address the fact when they don't pay the fine because they can't? That doesn't excuse the behavior.
Right. All right, thank you. Have a safe trip.
As for Captain Phillips,
and the longer you think we go without change, you think that trend will only continue to rise?
I think the trend's going to keep rising, and man, I do not want to see a 4,000 number of 100 mile an hour speeders coming across here.
And Francis said with several different options being debated, he's considering calling an interim committee. That's where lawmakers can share what they believe is the best course of action to take. A new bill targeting speeding is expected to be introduced during next year's legislative session. The Federal Trade Commission's ban on non-compete clauses is set to take effect in nearly 4 months. So if it does take effect, how will it impact the local economy? A local economist tells Factfinder investigator Brandon Stitt it may have a positive impact.
The FTC's ban on the non-compete clause will have an impact on the economy, but exactly how? WSU economist Jeremy Hill explains.
When you balance this off and it really becomes 2 groups of what's going to happen to businesses and what's going to happen to households, it is net clearly beneficial to households and only has cost to businesses.
Jeremy says that's because it provides an employee the opportunity to advance without relocating.
Now, without that you can stay in one place but continue to move up your career.
He says it will also push the employers to do more for the employee so they can maintain a valued position.
The employer is going to have to really think about where is that value and how do we reward it enough that this stays here locally.
The FTC estimates 30 million people work under non-competes. Jeremy believes those impacted the most will be in the software, engineering, healthcare, and sales industries.
Being able to take those relationships and is now an asset and not feel like I have to move from Wichita to Kansas City to continue my career or to another state or switch a whole industry, they now have a value that they've built up a portfolio.
Still, employers will likely have major concerns.
There's a lot of concerns, especially in that data engineering side, where you have all this intellectual property. It's how we do it. It's the secret sauce, right? That's the reason why you have a lot of non-compete in a regional market.
The new ban is already being challenged in 2 separate lawsuits. In one suit, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce argues the FTC doesn't have the authority to regulate non-competes. The FTC maintains the law is clear and it is empowered to prevent unfair methods of competition.
All of the ways we're failing the youth and our children, this should not be one of them. This is not a hard one. This is not any kind of new fancy legislation. Lead pipes are bad. Get it out and stop giving it to the people that you're supposed to be protecting.
Deadlines looming for states to start moving lead water lines. Questions about the steps ahead next on Factfinder Investigates.